Hey guys, it's JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh here today, and I'm coming at you with a Morphtronic deck profile for you all. So a little thing about Morphtronics is they are ultimately based up to chance in a way. Their strongest power cards, such as Morphtronic Cellphon and Smartphon, ultimately rely on you rolling a die and rolling a decent number, and in tandem with having the right cards on top of your deck. A way to mitigate this, as you'll see with the deck profile, is the use of other engines that can get you out Synchro monsters easier. But whenever you use a lot of engines that are kind of all of your power players, you end up losing the focus of the archetype you're kind of trying to center around. So with this build, my ultimate goal was to try to make decent boards if our Morphtronics end up fizzling out or not doing much. Using the engines, we can make those decent boards, but when our Morphtronics pop off and use their effects to the optimal degree, we end up making amazing boards. So that's kind of my thinking behind this. So I'm trying to use as much of the Morphtronic cards as possible, but at the same time, it's very unrealistic to try to make a Morphtronic deck without using some help with other engines, as we'll see when we get into the deck profile. So without further ado, let's get started. So for starters, I do play 3 copies of Morphtronic Cellphon. Now Cellphon has an amazing effect that kind of exemplifies why it's so good that none of the Morphtronic monsters have a hard once per turn effect. By that, it means even though we can only use a Cellphon effect once per turn, if that gets sent to the graveyard and we special summon it back onto the field, or if we have multiple Cellphons on the field, we can use each one's effect once. So basically, through looping and other matters, we can use it multiple times a turn. Morphtronic Cellphon is a very good Morphtronic card because its attack position effect is the important one, where we roll a die, and whatever that die lands on, we excavate or look at that top amount of cards from your deck, and you select one Morphtronic monster from those cards and special summon it onto the field. So this allows you to get some board presence very easily. The next very powerful Morphtronic card is 3 Smartphon, who has the same attack position effect as Cellphon, except instead of special summoning a Morphtronic from those excavated cards, it adds a Morphtronic card, which also includes the spells and traps. From those Morphtronic cards, you can add it to your hand from those excavated cards. So whereas Cellphon gives you board presence, Smartphon gives you hand presence. They each are good in their own right. Smartphon is better in more casual builds where you're running a lot of the spells, and I'm honestly not even sure if there are Morphtronic trap cards, but ultimately in this build we're only running one Morphtronic spell that can be added in addition to, of course, all the monsters. But in theory, like I said, the more casual builds that run more of a pure Morphtronic deck, Smartphon becomes infinitely better, but at the same time it is still just as good as Cellphon because they kind of complement each other in a way. Plus, it's a level 1 tuner, which is very important for our Synchro plays. Next up, which is a little weird, but again, going back to that level 1 tuner is important for Synchro plays, I play 2 Morphtronic Lantron. Now, Lantron, his attack and defense position effects are very niche and not really used as part of the deck strategy. It ultimately is used because it is a level 1 tuner that's a Morphtronic card, so you can special summon that out with Cellphon or search it with Smartphon, and it's again just a level 1 tuner to get on the board to go into Synchro plays. I found early on in my testing that I wasn't getting enough tuners, specifically Morphtronic tuners, onto the field, so that's why I'm playing the 2 Lantrons as just another tuner option. With that, I am playing what was once at 3 before I decided to play the 2 Lantrons, is 1 copy of Morphtronic Vacuumin. Vacuumin's very interesting to me, and all iterations of my Morphtronic decks have never played this until I realized its defense position effect is actually pretty decent. It basically equips a monster your opponent controls to it as an equipped spell card. This is relatively good disruption in a way, and ultimately it's just as you're going through your combos going into Synchro monsters, if you special summon out Vacuumin into defense position, this is just an added bonus to its value other than it being just another monster you use to Synchro with. It's not that big of a deal, but I just thought it was a little interesting option to have as part of the deck. The next tuner that we have in the deck for Morphtronics is 2 copies of Morphtronic Scopin. Now he is a 1-card level 7 Synchro monster if you have a level 4 Morphtronic in your hand. I will be completely honest, I only own 2 copies of Scopin, so throughout all of my builds of Morphtronics, I've always considered just playing 2, but realistically, you would probably want to run 3 so that way you can maximize having Scopin as well as a level 4 Morphtronic, because in this deck, the level 4 Morphtronics are usually not playable other than just a level 4 body for synchroing and usually for special summoning with Scopin's attack position effect, which lets you special summon out a level 4 Morphtronic from your hand. The first level 4 Morphtronic I play is 1 copy of Slingin. So Slingin is interesting. I see a lot of people play this at max at 3 copies. It is a pretty decent monster in terms of its effect, which you tribute another Morphtronic monster other than Slingin to destroy 1 card on the field. This is very good spot removal, but in this deck in particular, I find that I want my Morphtronics to stay on the field to go into Synchro plays, to be used as Synchro materials. Since we are relying pretty heavily on Morphtronic monsters in this deck, I don't find that using them for a simple spot removal is the optimal way to use them as a body on board, like I said, because I want them to go into synchros. But if you're playing more engines or just focusing more on other power cards outside of the Morphtronics and want to use this, Slingin is good. It's just this particular build, I don't really like using its effect too much. It's just an option. For my last 3 level 4 Morphtronics, which make 4 copies of a level 4 Morphtronic in the deck, is 3 copies of Boomboxin. It's honestly the main reason why I play Boomboxin is it's similar to Lantron, where it's simply a body, it's simply a level 4 Morphtronic monster. Its effect is decent. It allows it in attack position to attack twice during each battle phase, which is good, but it hardly ever comes up. It's mainly, like I said, just used as a level 4 body, both for the effect of Scopin and also in our extra deck for shooting Riser Dragon. This is the perfect level 4 to send from your deck to the graveyard just to get this Morphtronic out of the way. Or of course, if you get it from Cellphon or Smartphone or anything, you can use it for other means, but it's basically there for a name as opposed to necessarily its effects. The spiciest thing I probably have in this build is 2 copies of Doppel Warrior. Doppel Warrior is very good in this deck, and my mind instantly gravitated towards it as a potential card in the deck, which it's worked out fine for me. So Doppel Warrior, if it's in your hand and you special summon a monster from your graveyard, you can then special summon Doppel Warrior from your hand. This is very good because a more competitive version of Morphtronics often focuses on special summoning the Morphtronics back from the graveyard, which this is one of the focuses of this deck in particular. So we're often special summoning from the graveyard, so Doppel Warrior can be easily special summoned from hand, and if it's used as a synchro material and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon out 2 level 1 Doppel tokens, so that allows us to go farther into more synchro plays because it allows for more bodies on the field from its effect. For our engine components, I am playing the 1 Plague Spreader Zombie, which is by many to be considered the new Halqifibrax target during the kind of combo that goes along with it to bring out Borreload Savage Dragon. This is a very good card because you can use it for a synchro play while it's on the field from Halqifibrax, and once it goes into your graveyard, you're able to use its effect to bring it back out from your graveyard. So since it brings itself back, it's very, very good as that target. The other part of the engine that we're running is, of course, the 3 copies of Deskbot 003, which when it's normal summoned, you can special summon out a Deskbot from your deck, which is our 1 copy of Deskbot 001. This is not only a level 1 tuner, but also if you special summon 2 or more machines at once, 001 special summons itself back out from your graveyard, which is important with Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon because it special summons out 3 machine tokens at once. This is the basic combo in order to bring out Halqifibrax and then kind of climb into the crazier things. Speaking of Auroradon, this is kind of a conversation in on itself, which I'll briefly touch on. So Mecha Phantom Beast Hamstrat and Mecha Phantom Beast Aerosquin, which is like a penguin and then a hamster, I guess, Mecha Phantom Beasts. Those are the arguably best replacements for O-Lion, because you're able to bring out Hamstrat with Auroradon, use Hamstrat's effect to special summon Auroradon from your graveyard in order to, again, use Auroradon's effect since it's not a hard once per turn, and then you bring out Aerosquin from your deck, and then you're able to banish the Auroradon from your graveyard in order to special summon out a token, a Mecha Phantom Beast token. So then you have 2 level 9s on field and then two Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. I apologize, there are plenty of videos out there that shows this better, and this is a pretty new strategy, but ultimately I have those coming in the mail. So right now in this particular variant, because we are focused on synchro summoning throughout the entire deck instead of just this being kind of an engine in place of a whole other deck that has like other strategies going on, I find that Mecha Phantom Beast Coltwing does the job pretty well. Coltwing, when it's special summoned and you have another Mecha Phantom Beast card on your field, he can special summon out 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens onto your field. The issue with Coltwing, and the reason why I haven't seen him in much discussion, is because it kind of clogs up your field very easily. You're going to have to end up using this play with Death Spot 003 and going into all of that basically without having any monsters on your field before that, because you clog up pretty easily with the tokens, because Coltwing is not a tuner himself, so he kind of needs some other activity to occur in order to, you know, use those tokens efficiently. In this deck in particular, like I mentioned, since we have many other tuners and the whole deck is centered around synchro summoning, that's why I find Coltwing works, but I highly recommend replacing it with Hamstrat and Aerosquin if you find that the boards are a little wonky when you're using Coltwing. Now on to the Spell and Traps. I am playing 3 copies of Performapal Popper Up. I have a whole video from like half a year ago explaining why this card is a decent draw engine. Basically, you discard up to 3 cards from your hand and then you draw that many cards from your deck and you get burned for 1,000 times the number of cards in your hand after that. This doesn't occur when you're playing like Performapals, Odd Eyes, or Pendulum Magicians, but because we're playing this as a draw card in Morphtronics, we do get that burn. This is still good to not only set up your graveyard a little bit, because we do like our Morphtronics in the graveyard, but also this is just a good way to dig into the deck. There are many other draw engines you can use, like Magician Souls or stuff of that nature, but ultimately I just saw someone playing Popper Up on YouTube, like, you know, one of those replay channels, and I liked it a lot, and I like being able to use Performapal Popper Up because I feel like it's very underrated as a potential spicy draw card. I do play 3 Machine Duplication as well, which is very powerful with Cellphon and Smartphone specifically, because again, they are not hard once per turn, so they can go off extremely well if you use a Machine Duplication, specifically on Cellphon. And since we are playing so many level 1s other than just Cellphon and Smartphone, I am playing the 3 copies of Where Art Thou. Because of Where Art Thou dealing damage to you as well as Popper Up, this deck doesn't really have much longevity, but that's okay, because once we get our plays going and get our big synchros on board, your opponent hopefully cannot last too long after that. For the Reborn cards, I play 3 copies of Junkbox, which is an in-archetype monster reborn for Morphtronics. It's just destroyed during the end phase, but of course we'll be using those Morphtronics for synchro plays and other things. And then I play 2 copies of the equipped spell card Morphtronic Repair Unit. Morphtronic Repair Unit, you pitch a Morphtronic card from your hand to the graveyard in order to special summon a Morphtronic monster from your graveyard onto the field and equip it with this. It's just another monster reborn option, in addition to 2 copies of World Legacy Succession, which is a hard once per turn monster reborn. The only caveat is it has to be special summoned to a zone a link monster points to. It's not the end of the world. We just use this card mainly in the middle of our combos in order to bring out a Morphtronic onto the field to go into, of course, more synchro plays. And then for our one-ofs, just to continue the Monster Reborn effects, is none other than Monster Reborn itself. Because we have the ability to play it, of course we are going to play it since part of our strategy is focused on simply special summoning from the graveyard. I do play one copy of 1-for-1 as well, just to bring out some of our strongest cards are level 1 monsters, and one Foolish Burial, because in a way this is a weird way to search a card because we have so many cards that special summon from graveyard. So if we are able to set up our graveyard and choose what's in there, that's just the best option. Now onto the extra deck. So for my extra deck, just to start off with the Link monsters, I play one Link Karibo because we are playing so many level 1 monsters, and specifically with this deck, once we use our Morphtronic level 1 cards like Smartphone or Cellphone mainly, we want them in the graveyard in order to bring them back for their effects to recur. So this is good not only for that, but also Link Karibo, as many of you are aware, is a pretty good card in general. I also play one Halka Fibrax, and then one Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon just for the combo I went over earlier. I apologize, this is mainly, and I've always just done deck profiles as opposed to like combo replays or anything like that, but this is a pretty standard combo. If you look it up, this will make sense. Again, I apologize, I'm not showing it off, but there are so many people that show this off a lot better than me anyway, so just this is just part of that whole combo there. For the rest of my extra deck is just Synchro monsters. I found through playtesting that an issue I had was because of the levels. I don't know if it's, well, I do know it's partly me and my bad math ability and ratioing of this deck, but I just ultimately like to have a lot of different options for my Synchro plays, so that way I'm not stuck with weird levels on the board and I can't get into any Synchro monsters. So first off is the standard Formula Synchron, which is very good, and it's part of a way to get into shooting Quasar Dragon the easiest, because this is a level 2 Synchro tuner, and then you just need 2 other level 5 Synchros on the field in order to bring out shooting Quasar Dragon, which, spoiler alert, we are playing in the deck. I am playing one Martial Metal Marcher, which is pretty good in this deck. Level 3s are kind of awkward to go into here since I'm not playing any level 2s other than Doppel Warrior, but if I do get a Doppel Warrior and a Smartphone on the field or anything like that, this is definitely a good option to go up into a lot more Synchro plays. Link Cross is a very good card that is missing from my extra deck, mainly because I do not own a copy of it and I don't find it super important enough to proxy it. Sometimes I'll proxy in deck profiles if it's like actually like guaranteed necessary. It is good and it does raise the ceiling of the deck, so by all means please play Link Cross if you're able to. I do play, for my level 4 though, one Herald of the Arclight. This is just a good negation that we can get on the board pretty easily since it is just level 4. For the level 5, one of the staple cards to get into shooting Quasar Dragon is TG Hyper Librarian. Every time you Synchro summon and he's on the field already, you can draw a card. For a lot of my Synchro monsters, I kind of chose monsters that can kind of help out with replacing themselves with some hand advantage, which you'll see a little later. So Formula Synchron draws you a card, Hyper Librarian draws you quite a bit of cards in this deck. Just to get over the other level 5 I play is High Speed Roid Chambera. It is good on its own in certain cases, but mainly it's used just as a level 5 Synchro monster, so that way these 3 cards shown on the screen right now equal up to the level 12 shooting Quasar Dragon. But back to the card advantage thing, I also have one Coral Dragon, which when it leaves the field after it's been Synchro summoned, you can draw a card, and it's also a Synchro tuner, which definitely helps. I have Shooting Riser Dragon, which is very good because it can Foolish Burial a monster from your deck into the graveyard as long as it's level 6 or lower, and it loses that monster's level from itself. So the fact that you can level modulate Shooting Riser Dragon in addition to it being a Synchro tuner is very, very good in this deck in particular, so that way we can kind of choose what we want to go into in a way. One of the end board cards, as opposed to a lot of these being like extenders, one of the things you want to finish on is the level 8 Borreload Savage Dragon. This needs no introduction. It is a very, very good card. I'm very glad it was reprinted, especially since it's reprinted in such a beautiful prismatic secret rarity. Another level 8 that isn't as good, but I kind of like it, is Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. It has also been reprinted. I can't find where I put my prismatic secret rare version, but here's the ultra rare here for you guys. A level 9 that I think is very, very slept on, which if you don't like, you can obviously replace it with Trishula, because that is by far a very good card as well, is one copy of Ravenous Crocodragon. I can't even pronounce Archethus. So Crocodragon, basically when it's summoned, you draw cards equal to the number of non-tuner monsters used for its summon. Since we have so many small bodies in this deck, this can easily draw you 2 or 3 cards, and it gains 500 attack for each card in your hand. He can also have you pitch 2 cards in order to destroy a card on the field, but ultimately his drawing effect is the main alluring quality for me with him, and ultimately I just find it a very important inclusion in this deck to kind of maintain your hand and maintain resources in general. Plus, he can easily become a pretty big beater. Finally, I play none other than Shooting Quasar Dragon as well as the Shooting Star Dragon, with which is special summoned from Quasar's effect when it's destroyed. Quasar is just a strong boss monster, and honestly, playing a Morphtronic deck in the past, historically in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Quasar has been the boss monster for Morphtronics, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I haven't done a deck profile since Keysby guest uploaded a deck profile for me, and it was so good. I've honestly been like anxious about doing a deck profile to compete with that quality. It won't have as nice of an intro or anything. It'll be more straightforward like my other deck profiles, but I'm really trying to do more research and show you guys more of a competitive or just more of a stronger build of a deck. As always, please in the comment section down below, if you have any disagreements or any techniques or options that I'm unaware of, please let me know. I'm always wanting people to give me criticism, so that way I can make my next deck build of this deck even better, so that way we can all like share the information and have the deck grow. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I've been very stagnant lately. I've been buying a lot of collections online and just posting opening videos because of course I'm buying them for private use, so I figured I might as well record them and like post them online. Because of that, I think my channel has been suffering a little bit since I've become an opening channel unintentionally, but I'm going to try to get back into deck profiles and other stuff that a lot more people look up. So please, like I said, subscribe, let me know your thoughts on this deck list, and again, any critiques or any pointers you can give me, I'm all ears. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! See ya!